Let's get right into it. We're going to talk about a huge, fundamental misunderstanding of how YouTube actually works. And it all comes down to this one simple idea. The algorithm doesn't care about now. It's watching the clock. You've probably heard this, or at least felt it. So many creators, they live and die by this belief. You hit that publish button and you feel like the fate of your video is sealed in just a few minutes, maybe a few hours. It is an incredibly common and honestly a super stressful way to think about it. But here's the question that changes absolutely everything. What if that frantic energy, that initial burst of views, what if you're watching the wrong clock? What if that's not the finish line? What if it's not even the race itself, but just the sound of the starting gun? Okay, we've all been here. You post a video, right? The views start climbing, you're getting that rush of excitement, and then, bam. Somewhere between 24 and 72 hours in, it just hits a wall. The view graph completely flatlines. It is one of the most frustrating things you can experience as a creator. And of course, this is the conclusion we all jump to. It seems logical. When the views stop, we just assume the video's a dud. The algorithm saw it, it judged it, and it decided, nope, not worthy. We write it off as a failure, and we try to move on. But that conclusion, it's based on a massive misconception. And here it is. This is the core idea of this entire explainer. That initial period, it's not a judgment. Think of it as an exam. The algorithm isn't passing a final sentence on your video. It's just collecting data. It's testing its long-term potential. This concept is so crucial. Let's give it a name, the observation window. For the first 2 or 3 days, your video is basically in a controlled test environment. The algorithm is just observing, it's gathering samples, it's taking notes. It is not in the full-scale promote this to everyone phase yet. And this just lays it all out, doesn't it? This is the disconnect. We, the creators, we see those first 48 hours as the final score, the judgment. But the algorithm, it sees it as an exam period. We think it's the verdict. It knows it's just gathering evidence. This one misunderstanding is the source of so much stress and wasted effort. So what's actually on this exam? Well, the algorithm is measuring some really key audience signals. Your click-through rate, basically how many people who see your thumbnail actually click on it, your average view duration and completion rate, how long are people sticking around, are they finishing the video, and then post-view actions. What do they do next? Do they subscribe? Do they watch another one of your videos? These are the data points it's quietly recording in the background. So now that we know this, we can start to see how creators, with the absolute best of intentions, end up sabotaging their own work. When you misunderstand the test, you take actions that pretty much guarantee you're going to fail it. Does this little dance look familiar? I bet it does. First, we're obsessively refreshing the analytics page. Then, when the numbers aren't what we hoped for, we panic. We start frantically changing the title, swapping out the thumbnail, trying to fix a problem that isn't really a problem yet. And when that doesn't work, we just give up, sometimes even deleting and re-uploading the whole thing. We're literally interfering with the exam while it's still in progress. And the result of all this panic is, well, it's a disaster from the algorithm's perspective. It sees a creator who just can't stick with the decision. The data gets all messy and chaotic. Your channel starts to look inconsistent, like an unreliable source. So by trying to fix the video, you've actually told the algorithm not to trust your future content. And that makes it way less likely to ever give your videos that second look. Okay, so that's the problem. But what's the solution? It's not about trying to trick the algorithm. It's about designing our content with its process in mind. Let's walk through this 3-part strategy. First things first, you have to design your video to pass that initial 48-hour exam. That means every single element, your thumbnail, your title, and especially the first 30 seconds of your video, they all need to be locked in and optimized before you publish. You know the test is coming. Think of these numbers as your study guide for the exam. You want to aim for a click-through rate over 6%. You need to make sure that more than 65% of your viewers are still watching after that 30-second mark, and you should try to get at least a quarter of your audience to finish the entire video. If you can hit these numbers, you do not touch a thing. You've passed the test, let it. Okay, next we have to zoom out. The algorithm isn't just looking at one video in isolation. It's looking at your whole channel over time. It's searching for a stable, predictable pattern, and you need to give it one. So what does that mean in practice? It means creating a really consistent data profile. Keep your video length roughly the same, post on a predictable schedule, and stick with a single topic or theme for a block of at least 5 videos. This lets the algorithm learn exactly who your audience is and what your channel's all about, which makes its recommendations way more accurate and effective down the line. And now for the advanced strategy. This is the fun part. How do you get the algorithm to go back and give an older video, one you thought had failed, a second chance? Well, you can intentionally design a trigger for that reevaluation. Here is a specific playbook you can use. About 2 weeks after that original video, post a new one on a very closely related topic. Use the exact same core keywords in your title and description. Put them both in a playlist, in order. Then use a community post to talk about and link back to that older video. This sends a massive signal to the algorithm that says, hey, these two things are connected and people are interested again. Maybe you should take another look. So when you put all of this together, it represents a really profound shift in your mindset. You stop treating YouTube like a slot machine, where you just pull a lever and hope for the best. You start treating it like an engineering problem that you can actually solve. And what's fascinating is just how few creators actually operate this way. I mean, look at this. The estimates suggest that something like 97% of creators are still stuck in that short-term, instant results mindset. The small group that understands how to design for time, they're a tiny but very powerful minority. And this is the kind of long-term growth pattern it creates. You know, the first few months are all about building that stability. The next several months are about using those reevaluation triggers to amplify your reach. And then, by about a year in, you can actually achieve what's called a recommendation lock-in, where the algorithm just deeply understands your channel and consistently serves it to the right people. And really, this is the ultimate takeaway. For so long, we've seen time as the enemy, right? The clock is always ticking down on whether our video will be a success. But when you understand the system, you realize time is the only thing that truly works in your favor. It's the medium the algorithm uses to gather data and build confidence in your channel. And this is the final thought I want to leave you with. The algorithm isn't watching your immediate panicked reaction. It's watching your long-term design. The moment you stop reacting and start designing, the moment you treat time not as a deadline, but as a raw material you can work with, the entire game changes. It stops being a gamble and becomes a system you can build.